President and venal houseplant Joe Biden says he will not call off his campaign for re-election just because his debate performance proved he should call off his campaign for re-election. In a statement made to a mop, which he mistook for a 12-year-old girl with really nice-smelling hair, Biden said, quote, "Just because I had one bad debate doesn't mean I can't Schnagen Beugen Sobis Fabenduben. Sure, I'm not moving as well as I used to, and my voice sounds rough sometimes, and when it comes to going to the bathroom, it can be virtually impossible and then suddenly take me completely by surprise, and sometimes I wake up in the middle of the afternoon and find myself surrounded by people talking to me about Ukraine when I've already explained that the Ukraine money is safely hidden in one of my shell companies. But the point is, yes, I've lost some of my faculties, maybe all of my faculties. But if you think that's going to stop me from waging nuclear war at the highest possible level, well, all I can say is just watch me. If there's one thing I've learned in all my years in government, it's that you've got to take a stand, because walking is really, really hard. So for anyone who thinks I'm senile, let me ask you one question. Why does this little girl's hair smell like cleaning fluid? Unquote. President Biden made his statement to the attractive mop despite fears expressed by his top donors, often in the form of hysterical high-pitched screams or just by sitting curled up in a corner of the kitchen floor, quietly sobbing, "Please, please, give me back my money." The crisis in the Biden campaign arose after a subpar debate performance in which the president stared into empty space, slack-jawed and drooling, before droning incomprehensibly and repeatedly saying, "Look, here's the deal," for no discernible reason, then finally declaring war on Romania under the impression it was hungry and had fired a missile at Bulgaria, by which Biden meant Sweden, after which he fell off the podium, rolled out the stage door, and ran naked through the street, shouting, "Ali, Ali, oxen free." The White House explained the president was suffering from a cold and said he would do much better in the next debate if they could find a sorcerer to make time run backward. In the aftermath, several journalists who had repeatedly declared that Biden was sharp as a tack changed their tunes. For instance, Carl, "This is worse than Watergate" Bernstein said, quote, "This is worse than Watergate. During Watergate, I could take vengeance on Richard Nixon for being completely right about communism, and they made a movie about it in which I was played by Dustin Hoffman. But now I just look like a low, dishonest fool who kept cheating on my various wives until I morphed into a fat old woman living off a past moment of false glory by constantly declaring everything is worse than Watergate, which is worse than Watergate," unquote. Conversely, MSNBC's Joe Scarborough shredded his reputation before the debate by lying to cover up the president's obvious senility, but after the debate, he gathered up the shreds of his reputation, jammed them into a trash compactor, ground them to dust, then swallowed the dust in great handfuls until he choked on it while squeezing out his dying words, "Joe Biden is fine." The New York Times, a former newspaper, reacted to the debate by calling on Biden to resign in an editorial which said in part, quote, "Joe Biden has had a long and honorable career of serving his country in the role of unprincipled hack with a lucrative side business in influence peddling, not to mention a mean streak as wide as Montana. But now it's time for him to step down before someone realizes this newspaper is printing complete garbage," unquote. Although some Democrat officials are trying to find a replacement for Biden, their search is hampered by Democrat identity politics, which has elevated people according to gender and skin color rather than competence, and therefore has no one in the wings who isn't as stupid and corrupt as Kamala Harris, because she's Kamala Harris. For more Klavan-y greatness, like and subscribe, and please also subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show, wherever you get your podcasts.